Eating is at noon.
Okay, I'd like to bring this public meeting, public hearing to order, December 6, 2021, a public notice. The public is being held here. Clerk Kornecki, please call the roll.
Trustee Salella?
Here.
Trustee Corkery? Trustee Kozar? Trustee Kumar?
Here.
Trustee Murphy? Here. Trustee Patrick? President Kazone?
Here, and Trustee Kozar is just entering this now. So I'd like to turn this over to Manager Keener for the discussion end of it. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is an overview of the proposed village budget for the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, for the fiscal year beginning on January 1st, 2022, and ending on December 31st, 2022. The proposed budget for the fiscal year has been on file and conveniently available for public inspection in Village Hall on the village's website. A budget presentation was formally held on November 22nd, 2021. This evening is a public hearing to be held to accept public comment on the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget. Following this public hearing, the first reading of the budget adoption ordinance will be held, and then the second reading will be held on December 13th. And Your Honor and Board and folks in the audience, so the annual expenditures for the proposed 2022 budget with transfers and with the library is $81,923,788, and the proposed revenues for the 2022 budget with the Villa Park Library and transfers is $68,583,311, and the difference being large expenditures in the wastewater account, water supply account, stormwater buyout, and then street improvements has at least $11,963,000 proposed to be expended as well. And Your Honor, would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any questions from the public? Please state your name.
Can you hear me? Cheryl Tucker. My first question is, I know there was more expenditures for North Avenue and St. Charles TIFs 3 and 4. Where are the funds going to come from to cover those?
So currently, the North Avenue TIF does have some funds as a result of the sale of the property at 277. So there are funds there. And those funds are tentatively proposed for the new salt dome and regional detention basin as those come forward. St. Charles Road TIF, that does have a little bit of surplus in it for what needs to be completed, I believe.
Okay. It just didn't show in the budget that way. It looks their expenditures are more. Same thing with the hotel and the motel tax fund. When I looked in the financial report on 610, it looks like we only had $350,000 in debt, but on the general funding, it says $5,000. Where's the difference?
Right.
On the financial report on 610, it looks like there's only 350, 230 for one fund and 120 for the other.
So-
for the difference. There's a difference in the finance report on page 610 and the original,
This is the
overall
hotel and
budget.
motel tax?
Yeah, the hotel and motel tax fund.
I think Director
Yeah.
Scheibel's pulling the pages right now.
Okay. The other thing is the special revenue funds. It looks like the expenditures are more than the revenue come in. Is that because of road construction being in it? I know that's a big part of that special funding that we use it for.
be.
Is that the reason why we
What-
have such a deficit of,
What page is it, Cheryl?
the special revenue fund would be in the general funds. I don't think there's a pen on, for $1,358, more than that, $1,558,611. But I'm taking that's because of road construction. It just looks really huge for a special revenue fund to have such a big expenditure over the revenue that's in the budget.
Do you have a page on that, Cheryl?
No, I don't.
Director Scheibel, did you find either one of those?
Yeah, please, come up. Thank you.
So I'm not sure, so for the hotel motel tax, we have in the budget 115,000 in revenue. And it looks like there is an error on that page. It's on finance page 6-18. There also shows interest on investments of 115,000, which that's an error. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the difference between the two. I'm
So-
noticing from the financial thing.
Yeah, so
that
ins-
part, there's a difference.
Right, so instead of the total tax revenue for hotel motel being 230, it should be 115.
Okay.
And then the 115 is shown below as a transfer to parks. But there, it does look like there's an error on that calculation line of 30, in account number 3345105. So we'll get that corrected.
Okay, thank you.
There's one
And then-
that says 5,000, the other, it's
Right.
like, I'm pretty sure there's gotta be a reason
Yeah,
for it. It's
that's,
just
that's a
mixed
calculation
through.
error. And then, I'm sorry, what was the other question?
The special revenue funds on the general start of it has a huge amount on it. That would be the beginning section where you put everything in the budget thing on that one. And, the other thing is a common practice, it looks like all our capital project funds are all in negative, that our expenditures are a lot larger than revenue. Is that because through the year, through the fiscal year, funds go into that, correct? That's why
correct.
it always ends up looking so huge to start off with being a negative area, okay. It's kind of what I thought. And what is going in community economic development? Because we've got, is there some type of big, huge projects going on? Because the contractual plan review is like 250% up. The engineering services is 750% up. Training and conferences is 109% up. And other contractual services is 153% up. It looks like that ended up being pretty huge for that department alone. So are we doing an?
The manager was saying that's probably, that's part of Hawthorne Development.
That's Hawthorne Development? Is that what's in that going on?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a huge one. It's like, okay, what's going on in that department that we've got all
Yeah.
that huge expensive? That would be
Okay.
Hawthorne Development coming into effect. Who was doing the property management inspection before? I noticed we're hiring a part-time staff to do it. Did we have a property management inspector before?
Yes.
That was part of the inn, and we've decided to hire a part-time one now?
We've always had a full-time property. We've got code enforcement, building inspector, plumbing inspector.
Okay, on the budget, it says we're hiring a part-time one for 12,000.
Yeah, it's
Are
probably,
we adding on to it?
it's probably a position that was not filled in 2021,
Oh, okay, so we lost the original person, and now we're,
right?
is that what's going on here?
Director, yeah. Our director would like to comment on that.
If I may, just to clarify, that 12,000 is for the part-time, and usually is an intern, the part-time intern who helps out in property maintenance inspections.
Okay.
So the interns usually handle that position, the
Yes.
property management inspection
It's
is
usually
usually
the,
interns?
they help out with, with our current staff that's under full-time and under
So we
property
do have a
maintenance.
full-time staff, it's just we're adding on a position?
And we're not adding a position. That's just a part-time salary position that's meant for the intern, annual, seasonal, in other words.
And actually, the manager can answer that too.
So that the intern, we usually have an intern that helps with code enforcement over the summer, and the intern focuses on grass and weeds and notification to those folks, and that's a tremendous workload
Okay,
going through the summer.
Okay.
so it's just the intern in this, it's a summertime position when we need more
Yep.
property
Yep.
management being held. In the community and economic develop thing, part of that 750%, I notice is the bike and pedestrian plan, comprehensive plan. My question would be, is that feasible to do if we've got the redevelopment going in the area that they're gonna be doing that study in, on Wildwood? Is there a reason we need to do it in 2022 because of the other contract? I mean, it seems like it would be not feasible because we're changing the area where we're gonna be doing that study at. With the redevelopment of, if the board votes on the development at 110 Villa and the rec center going in, all that area is gonna be changed.
Yeah, I think where the study's done is going to be east of that, correct?
It's also going west of it. The study's supposed to be going all the way around from, according to the design that was set up, it's going east from the Prairie Path along Monterey to Wildwood, across Villa onto this side of Wildwood to connect to the Great Western.
And I don't think the entire area is being changed, this development on.
Yeah.
Just
former
the
AK
section from
Most
Villa
site.
to the Great Western.
And that's gonna be within the boundaries. of
Yeah.
what it is
Yeah, the
now.
trail itself won't be affected, you know, because it's that lot, whether that lot's developed or it's not, that's really not going to affect the trail.
This was a study, if my understanding is the roads, not the trail. They were doing a connection of whether it was feasible to put a bike path
No.
to connect the Prairie Path to the Great Western.
Director Burke.
Good evening. The Tri-Trail Connector Plan will not be impacted by the development at 100, 110 South Villa Avenue.
No, but it will be connected on Wildwood. By their design, they're gonna have a parking lot entrance right on that side. So it would be affected by their parking, their cars going in and out on Wildwood.
It would still be on Wildwood. It could either be on the north side or south side.
Absolutely.
Understandable, but the way the development's going for the rec center and that parking lot, how can you do a decent bike and pedestrian feasibility study when it's gonna all change? Due to the construction going on in those both areas.
Well, Wildwood won't be changing. That'll still remain open. And you can accommodate both projects.
And when you do a feasibility study, you're looking at what's there, and if it's changing the layout, it's gonna change.
It's really not going to change that much, though. As far as the connector, it's not going to change that much. But, I mean, that's all going to be part of that project. I mean, once it gets going, it'll be, they'll include that.
Is the feasibility study gonna last that long to include that?
I think it would, wouldn't it? The study with it? Yeah,
I think it'll take it all into consideration, that's why it's a study.
correct, right.
And my last question is, well, actually, why do we have an increase of barricades in the village? Do we need that many barricades that we're using $3,000 to buy barricades, or are they just that expensive? we need barricades in certain places in the village that we need that many?
Thank you, Ernie. Yes, on an annual basis, the barricades get damaged. Some people borrow them and don't bring them back, et cetera. So $3,000 is not a
Yeah.
large expense to replace some barricades on an annual basis.
Is that an expenditure we have and then people buy the barricades, or is it just the village handling those barricades when they get, okay. And is there a reason why we have to do a TIF eligibility study, needs to be done with the sale of the property at 100 and 110 South Villa?
Thank you, Ernie. Yes, because that particular TIF has a number of years that are, have been evolved since the creation of it. So for the proposed new development, a new TIF is also proposed so that the developer has 23 full years to recoup certain expenditures.
So we're basically redoing that TIF in a way, or making a new contract, that's what we're doing, so that it extends. Is that also going to affect the rec center on that area, because that's in that TIF too, right? Or it doesn't make any difference on that
Doesn't really
rebuilding of
It's in a
possible
different
pool
TIF,
of the,
Okay. I mean, you're saying that that's a different tip.
that's a different TIF. So Lions Field is in a different TIF
I
then?
believe so, yes.
Okay. Last question. I noticed we had a strategic planning done in August of 2019, and I see it's on the budget again this year. Are we, for $20,000 or whatever to do, are we doing it because it's recommended to do every 3 to 4 years, or is there a reason we need this strategic plan
We do
because
every
of
3 to 4 years.
2000 and
Gate manager's saying that we do it every 3 to 4 years.
it's just like we
The
do with
recurring thing, yeah.
the equipment being replaced, that's just something on our budget we normally just do every 3 or 4 years?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, do we have any other public comments on the budget? Okay, seeing none. Okay. Okay, seeing no more public comments, we will adjourn this public hearing. Thank you. Meeting to order, December 6, 2021, Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees meeting. Clerk Kornecki, please call the roll.
Yes, Trustee Salella.
Here.
Trustee Corkery.
Here.
Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar. Here. Trustee Murphy. Here. Trustee Petrick.
Here.
President Kazone.
Here. We're saying for a pledge of allegiance, and please stay standing for a minute afterwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay standing. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to share meaningful discussions that will affect the staff, directors, and the residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. we'll move to item number 3, public comments on agenda items. Clerk Konecki, do we have anyone signed up?
No, no one has signed up at the
Okay,
time.
do we have any comments?
Thank you. Good evening. Bob Wagner, 114 West Monroe. I'm here this evening to speak on item 8A. I'm here to speak in favor of the approval of the letter of intent for Catalyst. I know that many board members know that for many years, we kind of questioned why development that occurred in surrounding towns kind of skipped Villa Park. And the good news is that we now have one development moving forward, and we have this other potential development. And I want to just urge the board to vote in favor of this letter of intent because I know that I have further concerns about density for the project, the loss of ball fields, but I appreciate the staff's information about how we would replace those ball fields, and the fact that any project like this can be changed to make it more a better fit for the community. So this is a great opportunity for us, and I just felt very strongly to come this evening to ask the board to vote in favor of it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, any other public comments?
Hi, Cheryl Tucker, 434 South Cornell. 8A, I just have one question on the intent, and it's probably directed to the lawyer. I'm wondering, in that intent, the agreement probably later on, is there a way that we can make sure that the village will get at least the 100 parking places that they're saying in the contract? Is there anywhere legally to bind them to that, whether financially or otherwise? Because that's a big section for the people of Villa Park that are concerned that the parking will be there for them for future swimming pool and rec center. And
Yeah. The answer is yes. This is strictly a letter of intent saying from the buyer, asking us to give them permission to move forward with the project. All of those issues will be brought up in the redevelopment agreement, which will eventually be made between the village and the purchaser and will come to the board for approval. So the agreement, this is just strictly saying, yes, we will
Yes, it's okay,
sell it
go
to you,
forward.
and then once the RDA gets written, all of those issues will be put into the RDA.
okay, so that's something that will come later on.
It will come, yes,
those
down the
little
road, correct.
nitty-picky things
After
that
they go
we-
through their due diligence, and then that will be negotiated with the seller, with
Okay.
the village and the purchaser.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thanks, Cheryl. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, we will move on to item 4, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any? I would like to propose one amendment. This is items 9A through 9D. And what I would like to propose is that when that comes up for vote, that we vote on 9A, 9B, 9C, and 9D as one ordinance. They're basically the same ordinance, just affecting different GO bonds. They're basically the same thing, just affecting different bonds. And so I would like to do that as one vote when that comes up. And so if anyone would like to make that motion to do that, appreciate it. Trustee Kumar?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Trustee Corkery? Okay, can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Yes. Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Silella,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes, thank you. And we will move to that when we get there. Okay, item number 5A. Our Little Community Fund Commission is making a presentation of the 2021 Fall Decoration Awards.
I can't tell who's who.
Here's our audio visual gal. This is our first time. Three Stooges are taking. I was going to say the three blind mice. We are here to announce the winner of the Villa Park Autumn Gardenscape Award. There, they'll show up there. Between the excitement of Halloween and the beautiful lights of Christmas, there's the quiet calm of Mother Nature. And we found a beautiful home in Villa Park where they worked with Mother Nature to create a lovely place, not only to live, but for people to walk by. It's 506 Oakland, and they get this beautiful award, and they will also get a $25 gift certificate from a local vendor. And this is pretty much it for me. But you can see how beautiful it is. It's just lovely. The flowers are very colorful. And I would suggest you drive by now because Christmas, they have little boots on there instead of pumpkins. And it's just very relaxing and lovely to look at. So we congratulate them and thank them for their beautiful work.
Right. Is that the award that they're getting?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Is that the award they're getting?
This is the award they're getting.
Very nice.
And I don't know if you want to pass it by. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's okay.
No.
I'll get it on you.
Mary is the creative award. That's okay, doesn't matter. Again, so. Okay, that's it, thanks.
Great, thank you. Congratulations. Okay, we move on to item 6, the consent agenda. Item 6A, the minutes from the board meeting held on November 22nd, 2021. And item 6B, bill listings for the weeks of November 22nd and November 29th, 2021, the total amount of $480,736.32. We have a motion on the floor. Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Corkery? Roll call vote, please. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. We will move on to item 7A. This is the first reading of an ordinance to be codified. It's the first reading of an ordinance levying taxes for the fiscal year of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, commencing on the first day of January 2021 and ending on the 31st day of December 2021. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The 2021 tax levy process is underway. The Library Board approved their levy on September 22nd. The Village Board adopted a resolution estimating the tax levy on November 8th, and several abatement ordinances will be approved on December 6th. Total levy for the village and library is $12,632,074 and has been abated to $11,640,924, which is an increase of 5% over last year. The final amount will likely be reduced by Dupage County due to property tax caps. A majority of the levy is subject to a 1.4% tax cap plus new growth. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Okay, so since this is the first reading, this is a discussion only. Are there any questions or comments on item 7A? Trustee Kozar.
So maybe you could just explain it to everybody watching. As it was explained to us, it's not an increase that our taxes are going to go up necessarily by 5%. But what you're asking for is an increase that is then going to be reduced by Dupage County. And that increase of tax will be, what, closer to, do we even know what that will be? Basically, we're asking for as much as Dupage County will allow us to increase our taxes.
Can I explain that? Director Schreiber?
Yeah, Director Schreiber is fine. Your Honor.
Director Schreiber?
That's fine.
So we're allowed, we're under a tax cap, which means individual taxes are not capped, but the total amount that we can ask for is capped. And that's the lesser of CPI from the prior year, which for this tax levy was 1.4% or 5%. So our taxes will be extended by the lower of those two amounts, either the 1.4 or the 5%. We're also allowed to consider in our calculation new property. So that is excluded from the cap. So we go ahead and we ask for the total 5% to make sure we're capturing everything we can ask for, and then it will be reduced to the lower of the 5% or the CPI of 1.4. Does that answer your question?
It does. So in short, we're really getting a 1.4 tax increase.
Correct. And it depends on the EAV also. So we never know exactly what that's going to be. So that's why we ask for the max, to make sure that we get every dollar that we're entitled to.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 7B, the first reading of an ordinance adopting a budget for the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, for all corporate purposes in lieu of an annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year commencing on January 1, 2022 and ending on December 31st, 2022. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village's fiscal year 2022 budget ordinance allocates funds for the continued provision of village services, as well as significant capital investment as discussed during the village's budget presentation held at the November 22nd village board meeting and the public hearing held earlier this evening. The budget draft has been available for public inspection at Village Hall and on the village's website. The budget covers the 12-month period from January 1st through December 31st, 2022. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, again, since this is first reading, will be discussion. Are there any questions or comments? Trustee Kumar.
There's a couple of areas. I want to first say that I want to thank Director Shiver and the great job they've done with putting this budget together, and I know you're retiring soon and we're going to miss you. I'd like to say that first. And after that, there's a couple of places I would like to add a few funds to. Now, one of them is not a lot, some money for the arts. I feel like we should have a fund, a small one, where our local artists can ask for money through a process, whatever process we want to set up for the arts, a small fund to start out with, and maybe we can derive some corporate sponsorships and sponsorships to come into that fund, so that it's not really money coming out of our bank in the future. But it's better that we start such a thing within the city, so that I would like some small budget towards that, maybe a couple $1,000 that can be asked for the arts somewhere in our budget put in. That's my first request. The second is I did feel the heartfelt complaint of one, and this was in Public Works, of one of our citizens last week who came out and was very concerned with what happened at Safariland and the lighting around her house. And I'm not saying that we should address just that particular issue, but it is a concern that the north side of Villa Park, and I've heard from many residents that they don't have the same lighting that we do on other parts of Villa Park. So I think we need a process or some part of the budget which will maybe put 1, 2, 3 lights up a year over the next, so many years. And I know I did hear what Manager Keener said last week about that we have to work with ComEd on this issue. It's not a standalone issue, but we need to start a process so ComEd gets on board also. So if they're used to it year after year, we do 1 or 2 lights, 2 or 3 lights in Villa Park, it'll become a standard process. So that also, I'm asking a little bit of money towards that. I really appreciate the Christmas decorations that have gone up. I have to say they're lovely, but some of them seem to be dying out or they're losing their flicker. And I do not know if we have money for the budget to change 2 or 3 of those out a year also. I do know they're costly. I looked up the pricing. They run between $400 and $600 a piece that also I would like to add somewhere in the budget. These are my three things.
Okay. I don't know, I think that, you know, obviously, we'll have to look into that. If the money goes somewhere, it's gonna have to come from someplace else, so we'll,
Yeah, I think the lighting is an issue that's a very long run issue.
yeah, the lighting, I don't know if that would be done this year, but that definitely, something like that, so that's a long-range project that
Yeah, we
Public
need
Works
to
would have
work
to look
on it
into.
overall, yeah.
But it's probably something that I think, you know, the manager and I can discuss, and maybe discuss with the director, and eventually get some type of a process going on
Yeah,
that.
the lighting is a big issue. The arts, I don't think it's more of setting up a fund and, you know, making sure that we as a village support it. So there is no fund as far as I see in there. The fund can start at zero. The fund just needs to flow through money.
Well, again, you know, wherever that money going into that, it's gotta come from someplace else, so that would have to be looked at real close.
It's not gotta come from someplace else. It needs to be set up so it flows through the.
It still has to be paid for.
Yeah,
So, you know,
I-
if it's in the budget, you know, the budget is set for a fixed dollar amount, so it's gotta come, you know, you gotta take it from Peter to pay Paul, so. But again, that's something, it's not it's a good suggestion and something that we
It's not a large
can
amount.
discuss.
And with the Christmas decorations, is it in a budget in a yearly basis? Is it there somewhere?
Not on an annual basis, Your Honor. We usually spend between 20 and 30,000 do it all.
Okay. Manager, yeah, go ahead, yeah. That's all, yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. But it's not in the budget. We usually spend between maybe 20 and 30,000 to buy enough for all of St. Charles Road and then some of the auxiliary roadways. So we're more than happy to take a look at it, but as President Kazone mentioned, we'd have to move things around, and happy to do it, to see if we can do it this year, Your Honor. Board, I'm happy to take a look at it and see what we can move around.
I mean, it's not for this year, it's just a process also.
Well, yeah, then again, that would be
Yeah.
next year, in
Yeah,
the next year's budget, yeah.
So that 20,000, or whatever you spend, it's not on a yearly basis. I presume you have a whole stockpile of lighting.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, we don't spend 20,000 annually. It's probably every 3 years or so. When we notice that they become worn due to the weather, you take them up, you take them down, et cetera. And then I think we've got snowflakes out there now. I think previous it was Christmas trees, so we can look at some other Christmas decor next year's budget, or if you want me to buckle down this year, we can maybe find some money, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Corkery.
So I just had one, there we go. I had one small one in the administrative tab, page 5, administration. Under the commission section, I noticed that the community fund commission's budget is being reduced from 3,500 to 3,100. I'd like to see that not happen and potentially even give them a couple more, maybe up to 4,000. They've had a really big year, the community fund commission. You know, when I took over as board liaison, when I got sworn in, they didn't even have a quorum. And since then, they've done the huge Paws and Claws in the Park event. We've had showings for Halloween. We were at Joyful Traditions. You know, they do these wonderful landscape awards. I think they really work hard and they do a lot with a little. And I think with just, you know, an extra $500 there, they could probably make it go a long way for our village. So that's what I'd like to propose.
Yeah, okay, the manager and I will discuss that.
Sure.
And we'll see what can be done with
Is
that.
there any way to make a motion on it? You guys talk it out?
No, not just a suggestion. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We will move on to item 7C. It's an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, amending certain provisions of Appendix C, Article 2, Sections 2.3 and 2.6, including new 2.6.5 basic zoning ordinance of the Villa Park Municipal Code. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The proposed text amendments to Article 2, Sections 2.3 and 2.6, including new item 2.6.5 of Appendix C of the Village Code. These proposed revisions represent amendments to an article versus the entire zoning code and are proposed to better clarify code requirements and to address best practices and/or current development trends. The Community Development Department and village staff performed a review of these codes and research best practices, and are recommending the modifications proposed herein. At the November 11th, 2021 public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the proposed text amendments. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, again, this is discussion only. Any questions or comments? Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I have two questions. We had a question at Coffee with the Board from a resident. If we could get clarification on the line item that references the air conditioner units, particularly potentially placing them on the side of the house. We have several that are on the side of the house now. Can you help us to understand, are they going to be able to continue to do that? New construction, grandfathered? There would be a resident that would appreciate your input.
So there are no changes to that table. I believe the resident is referring to the permitted obstructions table, which part of the amendments to Article 2 that are being reviewed tonight, that has to do with just making a reference to that permitted obstructions table. So that's easier for the public to find that table if they're looking at the residential district that they fall in. So that table is just not changing as part of this.
And
But
if I
that's
can
not
just
answering the
If I
question.
can just clarify one thing, I know the resident that came to Coffee with the Board had said that their ordinance is changing, that's not allowing air conditioner condensers on the sides of a house. And I read through that, and you can still have air conditioning condensers on the side of a house. It just has to be covered with like a fence or bushes or something.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
let me clarify that the permitted obstructions table does include where they're permitted. If it does allow for side yard placement for existing development, for example, homes, as long as it's screened. That screening could take the place of a fence, a privacy fence, or landscaping.
Yep.
That's in the current.
Yeah, like I say, the resident thought that we were outlawing side condensers, but
No.
It's not true.
Okay, my second question, have we received any negative feedback from any residents regarding what we're proposing?
I have not received any feedback from the public regarding the proposal.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay. Oh, Trustee Corkery.
Are there any concerns at all about increased flooding with increased lot coverage, or is that something we're taking into account?
Dr. Guerra?
I can start off with answering that question. The changes that are being part of this article does include a reference to lot coverage and revised percentages, but that is to be consistent with what the practice has been and those lot coverage limitations found in different chapters in our zoning ordinance. So we did review those with engineering prior to putting this together to make sure that they're consistent.
And then with regards to flooding, we do have the ordinance that any net new impervious has to be accounted for, and even residential, so that they'll have to provide some BMPs, best management practices, to manage that stormwater. So any new pavement and impervious pavement going in will have to be accounted for with stormwater and flooding.
Okay.
That's it, thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
This is this is kind of the second piece of the big omnibus thing we looked at, is it, or is it a separate thing altogether?
This was part of that original large
Thing,
yeah,
right? So
correct.
this is
just
second.
one little section of it.
Okay, so that's good. I'm
Yeah.
not complaining. That's great that we're bringing it back. But at the same time, we need to resolve all those parts, and some of them were supposed to go through P&Z.
Correct, yeah. It's been discussed, and I think the first one will be on Thursday's P&Z meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Okay. We now move on to item 8A, ordinances. An ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, approving a letter of intent for the purchase and development of 100 to 110 South Villa Avenue. Andrew Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Catalyst Partners and Marquette Companies have submitted a letter of intent to redevelop 100 to 110 South Villa Avenue into a high-density, mixed-use, market-rate residential community. A $50 million development would include approximately 210 one- and two-bedroom market-rate apartments, 10,000 square feet of commercial space, and structured parking that includes at least 100 public parking spaces for the South Villa business area. Thank you, Your Honor.
Good, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the, Trustee
that
Corkery?
motion.
We have a second? Trustee
that
Kumar? Okay, and I just wanted to make a quick comment. As we discussed earlier, this is strictly a letter of intent. This has nothing to do with the redevelopment agreement. That will all be worked out, hopefully within the next 6 months or so as this progresses. So. Okay, any questions or comments? Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. Currently, we have two tenants located on the AK Mulch property, Cherokee Rose and Eclipse Dog Grooming. Eclipse Dog Grooming currently has a lease that expires on June 30th of 2025. So my question is, has the village taken this lease into consideration, and what is the plan moving forward pertaining to this project if it's approved by the board?
Thank you, Your Honor. We've taken a look at that, and if this is approved this evening, staff will be reaching out to both Cherokee Rose and Eclipse Dog Grooming and talking to them. It's our understanding one may retire, and we can certainly talk to the other individual and see what their plans are, et cetera, and bring them into part of the discussions as this rolls on. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And that would also include possibly relocating them?
So they would have to break the lease, though.
Correct.
So the village would have to terminate that lease, is that correct?
The village would negotiate with them in order to do that. Yeah, we could not just break it.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Corkery?
So just clearing things up for folks at home more than anything, this LOI is just for the old AK Mulch lot and not Lions Field, right?
That's correct.
And then, do we have any sort of idea of what kind of work we might have to do on the sewer system there in order to get it up to be able to handle that number of people? Do we know if it's up to that now? Do we need to do a lot of enlargement, or what are we looking at for that?
I thought that was already looked into, but Manager Keener?
I believe it was years ago, Your Honor, but Director Guerrero and I have talked about a study to do an analysis in this area, and this would be in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's just something I've gotten a lot of concern about from people who live in the area, is flooding specifically.
Correct, yeah. Just Kumar?
I also got some concerns about that whole area per se, and it's not just if it was. I think this citizen must have sent us all messages because that's what they said, and they're concerned that we're building in that area. The entry and exit into that area is a little difficult, and we're using up wildwood once again. So there was a suggestion made by another concerned citizen that we consider in the long run having an entryway off of St. Charles into that area as a possibility in development. So it's something we can definitely, we should be discussing, because everybody filtering right through Wildwood and adding more property there may be a long-run concern. But overall, I've got a very positive opinion about the actual development from pretty much everyone I've spoken to.
Yeah, and we've had discussions about that, about a different entry point at the St. Charles, going up, I think there's a Euclid, the street to the west there. But that will probably be addressed during a traffic study that would have to be done, for this project. Trustee Corkery?
Just one more sewer question for you. Are they separated on Villa and Wildwood, or does that still need to be done?
I think that needs to be done by Mike Guerrero.
Director Guerrero?
So that area has multitude of sewers throughout that area. Villa, I believe, is separated, but some of the existing trunk lines are still a combination that come into that area, because a majority of our trunk lines do go down Wildwood to go to our wet weather treatment facility and over to Salt Creek. So to answer it, it's kind of hard to say because there's like 5 or 6, but that area is separated, but there are still some trunk lines that are a combination that are still coming. Obviously, we're finishing up the Maple project that will separate them. And that's part of the study that we're conducting, is to look at the uses of all those sewers.
Is Wildwood separated? Are they going that way?
Like I said, there's several sewers in that section, because they all kind of travel that way to get to the Salt Creek Sanitary District.
I'd imagine we have to do some kind of work in that area then in the future if we're going to go ahead with this project, right?
I would think so. At least a study would be done, and we can see what would need to be done there. Yeah.
Sure.
Trustee Kumar?
Will that be part of the project scope for the builder, or does that fall under the village?
Yeah, it'd be part of the RDA, but it would probably fall to the village to do that. Trustee Kozar?
In general, I like the idea of density. I like the idea of using that 100 villa property. What I don't like is the kind of the overriding procedure that came about to bring us here. The property was purchased under the guise of using it for parking, but in reality, it was bought to redevelop it, to put a high-density building of some sort on that property. What I don't like about it is I think that property should have been listed in the market, in the commercial market, and had multiple bidders on there. Instead, it went on the website for, I think, 3 weeks, and that was our public offering, which, by the letter of the law, complies. But I think that it should have been shopped out larger by virtue of a commercial broker. I'm not going to vote for this LOI because I don't like the procedure of it, and I want to just take a position so that that's known, and as to why I'm not voting for it. That said, if the board does support it, I will get behind what the board ultimate decision is. But that's my position on it.
Okay. I'd like to comment on that too, that it was out there for more than 3 weeks, and the original valuation of it was 1.3 million, I believe? 1.1 million. So the village did overpay for it, and I think the developer is basically paying us back for that. Now granted, it was purchased for parking, but I think the long-range plan was always to eventually have a developer in there because it had been shopped before. And there had been developers, Director Burke had several developers come in and discuss this site, and nothing ever came out of it. And Catalyst and Marquette are the ones that they finally came up with a plan on this. So I understand your point on that, but I don't think marketing it would have brought us that much more. But I appreciate your comments on that. Let's go there.
So just follow up to that, I think that we don't know what marketing would have done. And in the future, if the village is going to sell off a piece of property, I think that the village should put it out there on some sort of commercial multiple listing, and not just wait for people to come to us. If I'm selling a house, I'm not just simply going to wait for somebody to knock at my door and buy that house from me. I'm going to put it out there so that people from all over the place, from Illinois to California to New York, can see that I've got a piece of property for sale. And that's just what I think that the village should do to get the best price, best developer. And Catalyst, I'm not saying you're not the best developer for this property, but it's the general principle of how this went down.
Okay. Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I'd just like to make a comment. It's my understanding that if a commercial real estate broker does bring in a developer, it's guidance by their license and the Illinois state license law that they must show their potential developer at least 3 comparable properties in an effort not to be showing preference to our particular Wildwood property. So as long as we're willing to conform to the reality that I believe that's state law, I would be in agreement on future projects that we would bring in a non-biased commercial broker that is showing developers multiple properties that are very similar in their amenities. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Corkery.
What happens to the proceeds of the sale if it goes through? They just go to the general fund?
They're going to the TIF.
The TIF?
The TIF, correct. Right.
And it has to be then used in that area?
Yes.
Pardon me?
It has to be then used in that area?
It has to, correct. Or a budding TIF, they call it snuggle TIF. If there's a TIF right that they butt each other, you can transfer money back and forth to those. Trustee Kumar.
Given that question, is there an abutting tip?
Yes.
No.
Kenilworth.
Yeah, the Kenilworth TIF.
The Kenilworth tip is the only abutting tip?
Yeah.
Okay, there's no TIF, that covers Lions Park?
Yeah, Kenilworth TIF, I believe.
Yeah, the Kenilworth TIF covers Lions Field.
It covers Lions Field?
Right.
Okay.
And then the Ovaltine TIF used to be part of, there was like 3 right there. But that is done, last year was the final year for that one.
Okay.
Okay.
And how many years are left on the Kenilworth TIF?
You know?
2037,
Okay,
St. Charles is 2032.
2032.
Okay, so I'm going to hear 2037 on the Kenilworth and 2032 on the St. Charles TIF, or when those are done. Okay? Right, any other question? Trustee Corkery?
Just a comment. I just want to reiterate once again, I really do like the density of this project. I've had a couple of people reach out to me about that, and I know it's pretty different from what we have around here, but from an environmental standpoint and from a financial standpoint, I think we really should be investing in density for the future of our town and for our planet. We could be in a lot of trouble if we don't start building a little higher. So,
Good, thank you.
for money reasons and for planet reasons.
There you go. Okay, Clerk Konecki, please call the roll.
Roll call, thank you. Trustee Sillella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
No.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes, and so that passes, and we will be proceeding with this one. Thank you. Move on to item 9, ordinances abating property taxes. Do you want to read those? You want me to?
No, I can read.
Okay.
Just tell me what you like, Your Honor.
Go ahead. And as we had said at the beginning with the amendments, we are going to vote on 9A, 9B, 9C, and 9D as one. Thank you.
I'm ready, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. As part of the annual property tax process, the village routinely abates a property tax levy for debt service when it has certain funds available to pay the debt. Abating the property tax levy means that we are informing the county that we do not need property tax revenues to pay the debt service on these bonds. This is common practice for general obligation alternate revenue bonds when there are other sufficient funds to make the debt service payments. The attached ordinances will abate property taxes for 4 different bond issues in 2 different categories of bonds, TIF 3 bonds and stormwater bonds. This year, we will be abating all or a portion of 4 bonds as follows. So the 2017 TIF 3 refunding bonds, because we will have funds from the DSUB rollover bonds to be issued. The 2017B, 2018A, and 2019A stormwater alternate revenue bonds, because the funds are available from monthly stormwater fees. Do you want me to keep going, Your Honor?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
9A.
You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you. 9A, ordinance abating the tax hereto levied for the year 2021 to pay the principal of and interest on $3,010,000 general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source, Series 2017 of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois. 9B, ordinance abating the tax hereto levied for the year 2021 to pay the principal of and interest on $1,150,000 of general obligation alternate revenue bonds, sales tax alternate revenue source, Series 2017B of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois. 9C, ordinance abating the tax hereto levied for the year 2021 to pay the principal of and interest on $2,645,000 of general obligation alternate revenue bonds, sales tax alternate revenue source, Series 2018A of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois. And finally, 9D, ordinance abating the tax hereto levied for the year 2021 to pay the principal of and interest on $2,735,000 of general obligation alternate revenue bonds, sales tax alternate revenue source, Series 2019A of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. That was a mouthful. Okay, do we have a motion for this?
I'll make the
Trustee
motion.
Corkery, do we have a second? I'll second. Trustee Solella? Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Konecki, roll call. Oh, hang on.
Just to make sure I'm reading this right, this translates to essentially lower property taxes for people in these areas?
This, no, this basically says that we are not going to use property taxes to pay the interest and principal on these bonds, that there's money that's already there to pay for it. So we do not have to raise property taxes for that.
Right, exactly. All right, thank you.
Clerk Kornecki?
Okay. Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Move on to item 10, resolutions. Item 10A, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving final plat of subdivision known as SPB Commercial Subdivision for the property located at 257 through 277 East North Avenue. Mayor Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The petitioner, Cat Villa Park, is the owner of the subject property and seeks approval of a plat of subdivision to create one lot of record, including utility and drainage easement provisions. The proposed plat would consolidate 3 parcels into one lot of record and would comply with a condition of permit approval. At the November 11, 2021 public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 8-0 unanimously recommending approval of the proposed plat. The subject property is located at 257 to 277 East North Avenue, which is on the south side of North Avenue, is the site of a recent new commercial development. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for this?
Mr.
Trustee
President,
Patrick.
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Trustee Salella.
I'll make
Second, okay. Any questions or comments? Trustee Salella.
Is this property currently for sale?
No, this is a Shoe Point Blank property.
Oh, this is, okay, I'm thinking
Yep.
about the parking,
Yeah, no,
the RV parking property, sorry.
yeah, this is short, it's already been developed, and yeah, so now, and I believe that was part of the permit, correct? Was that they would eventually, merge it into one parcel.
Disregard the question.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Move on to item 10B, a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the annual budget of the Sugar Creek Golf Course for the calendar year 2022. Major Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Sugar Creek Golf Course Administrative Board has approved the proposed Sugar Creek Golf Course budget for the calendar year 2022, beginning January 1st and ending December 31st, 2022. Proposed expenditures equal $1,283,771, and the proposed revenues equal $1,335,164, resulting in a projected net surplus of $51,393. This budget includes debt service payments from Elmhurst Park District and the Village of Villa Park totaling $225,751, and capital improvement cost of $244,000 relating to replacement of non-compliant underground fuel tanks and replacement of aging maintenance equipment. According to the intergovernmental agreement between Villa Park and the Elmhurst Park District, the proposed budget must be presented to the village president and board of trustees for final approval. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for this?
I'll make the
Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Okay, with that, we will move on to public comments on non-agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, did anyone sign up?
I have no one.
No one signed up. Do we have anyone in the audience? Non-agenda items. Okay. Village Clerk's report.
Yes, just one, just to remind the seniors that there is a SALT meeting on Wednesday, this Wednesday, the 8th, at the Community Recreation Building. Program starts at 11. If they come a little bit earlier, they can have the sweet rolls. Officer Sonia Bregman brings that in, and she also prepares the program. So we're looking for a very nice event with the seniors, and the Senior Concerns Commission will be providing the lunch. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Village Trustees report. We'll start on my left. Trustee Kumar.
Overall, I have not much to say except about, the upcoming, grant we have, the $10 million that's coming in, and how we're gonna process that, and how we're gonna start the process of our new community center and where it goes. I know we have, that we had the presentation last week, the last meeting, in which, we got, some data and some numbers on, what it will cost to put a community center at Lions, Park, from Williams Associates, which is a pretty reputable company. However, I did do a lot of reconnaissance after that in terms of cost of various community centers, and with comparable projects in the local area. And the closest I could get is Lombard and Madison Meadows, and their pricing, and they spent $9.5 million on that Madison Meadows Center. And to me, the 18 million is a lot more than 9.5 million. And I'm not doubting price increases to a certain extent, but it's only been 3 years, and a doubling seems like a lot. So I want to know what we're getting more for the money. So I ask that we look into that, first of all. Second, I'm concerned that we are rushing the process without enough community input. We need a very clear process of when the community is going to say what they want at Lions Park, what they are going to do, and how they're going to address it. So that's very important to us. And so I'm asking that they address that as well.
Okay, thank you. And Manager Keener will bring that up in his report. Okay. What's going on there? Okay. Anything else?
Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Trustee Corkery.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone who came out to Joyful Traditions this past week. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for putting together a really nice festival. There were a ton of people there, really great attendance. Lots of happy, smiling, yelling kids, which is always great to see, especially this time of year. There's free hot chocolate from the Boy Scouts and the Masons, and a good time was had by all, I think. So, thanks to the Chamber and everyone who came out.
Thank you. Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I second that. Wonderful job, Alicia. That's a really huge endeavor, and I want to say, I don't know if anyone can confirm that. I'm thinking it's her 17th year of Alicia spearheading the Joyful Traditions. So again, that's a lot of work, and it was awesome, and the attendance was amazing. There were at least 50 people in every line for the photo booth, Santa, and the two food trucks. So, and we were blessed with good weather. So that was awesome. I second that. In addition, I'd like to thank the police chief for coming to Coffee with the Board on Saturday. It was a wonderful, wonderful supplement to our Coffee with the Board, and the residents appreciated having access to get some questions answered about some recent activity in our village. Third thank you goes out to Tri-Town for their flu and COVID vaccine event that they held at Jefferson last Saturday. I do know someone that was in attendance who was advised when they arrived that they were anticipating 300 people to be coming to that venue. That's a lot of people, and a big shout out and thank you to Tri-Town for that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Kozar.
Following up on Deepa's comments about our rec center and the bill that was passed, I don't think, at least here from the dais, it hasn't been stated enough that, or just even stated that Tom Cullerton, who is our senator, is, I think, in very large part responsible for getting that $10 million bill passed in the state. So I personally just want to thank him for making those efforts. I appreciate his political aptitude for working however he did it. I know that a lot of people had some, push to get this done, but I just want to be clear. So thank you, Senator Cullerton, for allowing us to have these debates by virtue of having this $10 million grant coming our way. in part of that, and to Deepa's comment about, kind of a timeline and what we're looking to do here, we received on Friday a memo, a confidential memo, that was explained to me from an email just right before I got in here, that the reason it was confidential was because it was more of a draft. I would like this memo to be released to the public. I don't see anything in here that is confidential. If you think that timelines or information is going to change from the Friday memo, the December 3rd memo, let's label it as draft or subject to change or something like that, so everybody knows that we haven't necessarily committed to it, but this is the general focus moving forward. I don't like the idea of things being confidential if they don't need to be, and I don't think it reflects well on our board or our government at large to be labeling things confidential. So whenever we can avoid that, I would like to see that. This memo would be a great place to start. The last thing that I want to talk about is, and Mr. President, you alluded to it when we were talking about the first reading of the ordinance changes. That omnibus bill that was originally introduced at the beginning of this term was voted down on July 12th. It then came back up piecemeal to the board, and on October 11th, there was a motion to send 12 changes that the board at large had discussed back down to P&Z. It was by virtue of a motion to send it down to planning and zoning. On November 11th, that didn't happen. It wasn't on the agenda. There was no discussion. The planning and zoning agenda was released just this afternoon, and it's not on the December 9th agenda either. So I don't know what we have to do as a board if we want to put something on an agenda, that we have to do more than vote on it, make a motion and vote on it for it to be on an agenda. I don't know what I'm missing on that. So perhaps you could shed some light on that.
Yeah, I have not had a chance to look at that agenda, but that was one of the things I wanted to look at. If that's not on there, it should be, and it can be discussed. I will discuss that tomorrow with the manager. But yeah, that definitely has to be on there because it was brought up at the last P&Z meeting. But I will discuss that with the director and with the manager. Because I think we have time tomorrow to, if we want to make any changes to that. Yeah, we've still got 48 hours. So yeah, so I will address that tomorrow if that's not on there.
Do we know if it has been published in the paper? Because there's got to be a legal description for it. We're starting over since the omnibus bill was voted down. It has to be published in the paper to start all over.
We can put it on, we can probably republish within 48 hours, but it's discussion only.
Yeah. Okay.
If that's what we're directed to do.
I will discuss that with the manager tomorrow.
Can you follow up with me via email or something?
Oh, yeah.
Prior
I'll do
to
that
the
first
meeting?
thing. Yeah, sure.
Prior to the meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. I'd just like to take a minute to thank staff for putting together a great budget and for answering all the questions that I had. I really do appreciate it. During a global pandemic, this stuff isn't easy either, so you guys did a really great job. Thank you on that. As always, thank you to our first responders, our police and fire departments for being out there every day with their lives on the line. I really appreciate that as well. And to everybody out at home, have a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you.
Trustee Solano.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to camp on the Trustee Kozar's letter that we received outlining the work and the performance of the upcoming project and the timeline. I think it's a great letter. I think the public maybe...
I just want to just clarify one thing. This was a confidential memo, so let's, not discuss too much.
I was going to get to the point where maybe not in this format, but in the design of its simplicity, describing the future events. And some of the tidbits that are in there informative where they need to be. something like this, I think, would really help get the information out there and alleviate some of the questions.
Sure.
That's all I got on that one.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too, and again, that's something the manager and I will be discussing.
Again, Chief Reeves, thank you for your attendance. Also, at our coffee with the board, it was great sitting next to someone who had the answers. And they were delivered quite eloquently. And joyful traditions, outstanding. I enjoyed myself. My family did also. I'm pretty sure everyone else who attended did. It's always a great job, and thank you.
Thank you. President's report, guys taking all my thunder, because I wanted to also talk about Joyful Traditions. It was a great event. Weather was perfect. Santa Claus was there. I think people were very anxious to get this going again, and after it was canceled last year, but everybody did a great job. Alicia did a great job setting it up with her staff and everybody, and village staff did a great job. Chief Rivas, thank you again for Saturday. It was very informative and very well attended by our residents here. They really appreciated that. A couple other things. Dan Kraus, the principal at Willowbrook High School, just received, I think within the last month, the 2021 Herman Graves Award from the Illinois Principals Association for outstanding service to the IPA. I think it's a very well-deserved award. I know Dan does a great job at Willowbrook. He's been there a long time, and he's really done a good job there. The students really appreciate him, and so for an older guy like Dan to get these young students behind him, he does a great job. So congratulations to Principal Kraus. And finally, and I'm sure I'll hear from him that I called him old, so that's okay. And finally, one of our businesses in town, Olive Street Design, and the principal of it, Nat Rosasco, used to be on the Economic Development Commission, but Olive Street Design just won a Clutch Global Award, which is earning a spot in the top 0.06% of web design firms in the world. Clutch is an independent platform that collects objective feedback from clients, performs detailed interviews with clients and customers about the quality of their interaction with each Clutch registered company. So this is great. Nat, like I said, he was on the Economic Development Commission for a while and really did a lot with the Yes Villa Park website, setting that up. And they're right here in Villa Park, right across from Cortese Park. And so I'd just like to say congratulations to them for this award. They did a good job. And with that, we will move to the village president's report.
Sorry, Your Honor.
So
try to promote me.
Village manager's report. Yeah, we're not going to swap. Don't worry.
So, thank you, Your Honor. So, I want to give just a brief COVID update. I'm sure this is on a lot of folks' minds, and as it should be, but DuPage County's positive rate has jumped to 6.4%, and the county has moved from substantial transmission to high transmission. DuPage County has a 7-day case total through December 1st, 2021, with 2,213 new cases. County hospital admissions are rising, and ICU bed availability is below the state threshold. State of Illinois reported 8,700 new COVID cases today, so it's kind of on the rise again. And I just wanted to caution everyone to make sure you wear your mask and practice the washing of the hands and social distancing as much as you can, and don't take this lightly. I know it's been quite a while, Your Honor and Board, but sure wish it would come to an end.
Yeah.
Thank you. With that, I pass.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now move into executive session pursuant to the general provisions of the Open Meetings Act. Number 1 is 5 ILCS 120/2C1 personnel matters, C2 collective bargaining matters, C5 purchase or lease of property, C6 sale or lease of property, C11 pending litigation, and C21 discussion of closed session minutes. Do we have a motion to go in executive session? Trustee Kumar.
I'll make that motion.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Salella. Clerk Konecki, roll call, please.
Yes, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. And after executive session, we will reconvene out here to vote on the labor agreement between the Village of Villa Park and the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council. So we will meet in executive session, and then we will come back out for a vote. So if you'd like to stick around, feel free to. Otherwise, after that, then we'll adjourn. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 13th, 2021, which is a week from today. So we've kind of moved up our meetings in the month of July, or month of December. So with that, we're going to move to executive session. Oh, I can't talk today.
I know, me either.
I'll move on to item 17A.
Reconvene.
Okay.
Reconvene.
Oh, we have to vote on it?
Roll call at
Okay.
least.
We have to
yeah.
call it
All
back
right,
to
we
order,
will
don't we?
reconvene, and Clerk Konecki, please call the roll.
Okay, trustee Salella?
Here.
Trustee Corkery?
Here.
Trustee Kozar?
Here.
Trustee Kumar?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Patrick?
Here.
President Kazone?
Here. So item 17A is a motion to approve a successor labor agreement between the Village of Villa Park and the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council effective May 1st, 2021, and runs through April 30th, 2025. And we have a motion for that. Trustee Patrick,
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
second.
I'll second.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Okay, trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. And that ends our meeting today, and we have a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Patrick?
I'll second.
Trustee Salella? All in favor? Aye. Great, our next meeting is a week from today, December 13th. Have a great week, everybody.